Alright, so I'm going to be going over the FizzBuzz question from Leetcode. It is ranked as easy. And basically this question asks, or if you're not familiar with FizzBuzz, it asks, basically you get a number and you check to see if that number is divisible by either 3 and 5. If it's divisible by 3 and 5, then you want the console to print FizzBuzz. This is not what the Leetcode question was, but this is like the basics of FizzBuzz is you get a number. If the number is divisible by 3 and 5, then you print FizzBuzz. If it's divisible by only 3 but not 5, you print Fizz, and if it's divisible by 5 but not 3, you print out Buzz, and otherwise you just print out the number. So what the question asks for is, given an integer n, return a string array answer 1 index. So what it means by 1 index is the index starts at 1. So look at this input. If n is 3, so given an integer n, return a string array answer, or if you're using Python, a string list of the answer, where answer is this list. So 3 is divisible by 3, obviously, but it's not divisible by 5. So 3 is gonna print out Fizz. Everything else, so given n, we want everything leading up to n to be in a list. So 1, 2, Fizz. So for 3 is 1, 2, Fizz. For 5 it's gonna be 1, 2, Fizz, 4, Buzz. And then I'm guessing if it's like 15, then it's 1, 2, Fizz, 4, Buzz. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 is divisible by 3. 7, 8, 9 is divisible by 3. 9, 10 is divisible by 5, until you get to 15, which is divisible by 3 and 5, which you get FizzBuzz. So my thought process here is that the AND statement has to come first, 3 and 5, because if you have, so it's going to be an if or else statement, and you want to check 3 and 5 first before 3 or 5, because if you check 3 first, then that will run regardless if it's divisible by 3 and if it's divisible by 3 and 5. So let's do this. Oops. So I have this test.py. So this is what they give you in the beginning. So the very first thing we have to do is make an if-else statement. So if, and we can use the modulo. So the modulo returns the remainder of a number. So if we go 5, or if we go 10 modulo 5, that's going to be equal to 0, because 10 divides into 5 perfectly. Whereas if we go 10 modulo 4, this won't be 0, this will be 2, because 4 times 2 is 8, so you have 2 remainder. So it basically gives you the remainder. So if it's perfectly divisible, the remainder is going to be 0. So you can use a module class to figure out if it should either be Fizz, Buzz, or FizzBuzz, or if it shouldn't. So you could use a module class to see if it's divisible by 3 and or 5. So we want, given n, we want all the numbers up to n. So it's a for loop here. So for I in range, and we want to start the range with 1 and not 0. So 1 to I, or to n plus 1, because the range function includes the beginning and goes up to but not including the end argument. We're going to go if, and we want to start with 3 and 5, so if I modulo 3 is equal to 0 and I modulo 5 is equal to 0, then we're going to append this to a list. So answer is equal to this. Answer is equal to a list. We go answer.append, and we're going to append FizzBuzz. So that's a string. Instead of, if you want a more cleaner syntax, instead of saying equal to 0, you can also say not, and that's that. So 0 is a falsy value, and therefore if you're trying to check for 0, you can say not. 0 might be more readable, but I like not because smaller code. And then elif I modulo 3, or elif I not modulo 3. So if it's divided by 3 instead, then you go fizz elif not I modulo 5, and you also got append buzz. And then otherwise, so if none of these go, then you're going to append just the number, a string of the number. At the end of the day, you're going to return answer. And let's run this. So given our solution, so let's say solution is equal to solution. Oops, and then solution dot FizzBuzz, and let's say 15. And let's print this out. So 1, 2, 3 fizz, 4 buzz fizz, 7, 8 fizz buzz, 11 fizz, 13, 14 fizz buzz. So that works as intended. And I did run this on the Leetcode website, and it does work.